The chamber was silent, save for the faint hum of the projection. Blue light flickered across Admiral Elias Kane's scarred face as the images played again. Shackled men and women, Terran soldiers, were dragged into the square of the alien prison world, Karzal. They were mocked, beaten, then executed in rows, their bodies thrown into pits while the Varkathi overseers jeered. The recording ended with the Dominion's insignia, jagged claws over a broken star. Kane's jaw tightened. He had watched the footage 4 times already, but his eyes always searched the same section of the crowd. There, 3rd row, second from the end, his younger brother Marcus, bound, defiant until the very last breath. The executioner's blade had fallen without hesitation. Kane's throat burned, but his voice stayed low, steady, as he whispered, "I saw you. I won't forget." Behind him, a Terran council aide cleared her throat. "Admiral, the session convenes in 5 minutes." He gave a curt nod and rose. His uniform, dark navy with silver trim, felt heavier than usual. Every step toward the council chamber carried the weight of thousands of voices, the widows, orphans, and parents who had flooded the streets since the transmission leaked. Humanity had grieved before, but this time it was different. This time, the galaxy had been shown humanity broken and mocked. And humanity would not forgive. The chamber's massive doors parted. Inside, the Terran Council sat around the crescent table, politicians in immaculate robes, advisors hunched over data pads, representatives of the colonies flickering in via hollow. The atmosphere was brittle. Murmurs died as Kane entered. Counselor Thorne, his voice sharp with caution, stood first. "Admiral Kane, you've seen the evidence. No one denies the atrocity. But vengeance cannot be our guide. We are one species, outnumbered billions to 1. To declare war on the Dominion is suicide." Kane stepped into the center, his boots echoing on the polished stone floor. His gaze swept the chamber, pausing briefly on each wavering face. "Suicide?" His voice rang with restrained fury. "Tell that to the families of the slaughtered. Tell that to the prisoners who never came home. The Varkathi believe we are too weak, too fearful to fight. That belief must end." Counselor Ilara, a calm, steel-eyed woman from Mars, interjected. "The Dominion violated every code of the Concord. The galaxy watched as our soldiers were butchered. If we remain silent, we admit we are prey. But war?" Thorne pressed, sweat glistening at his temple. "Their fleets outnumber ours 10 to 1. They've conquered systems older than Earth itself. What hope do we have?" Kane's eyes hardened. "Hope? We don't rely on hope. We rely on resolve. Every ship, every factory, every colony will rise because this is no longer politics, it is survival. If we bow now, humanity is finished. Not today, not tomorrow, but within a generation. They'll grind us until nothing remains." The chamber stirred. Whispers spread like fire. Some nodded, others looked away. Kane took a step closer to the council's core, lowering his tone but sharpening each word. "I watched my brother die on that recording. I watched thousands of ours humiliated and erased. I tell you this, I am not asking for war. I am telling you it has already begun. The only question is whether we fight it on our feet, or on our knees." A silence followed, heavy and suffocating. Then Counselor Ilara rose, voice firm. "I second Admiral Kane's motion. The Dominion has declared war through their actions. It is time humanity answers." Votes were cast, holographic glyphs lighting one by one. The final tally appeared above the chamber. Motion passed, 61 to 39. The chamber erupted in clashing voices, but Kane heard only the quiet confirmation that humanity's path was set. Outside, the plaza roared with news. Crowds surged around holodisplays showing the council's decision. Some wept, others raised clenched fists. Chants filled the air. "Justice! Justice! Justice!" Kane moved through the tumult, guarded yet unflinching. A boy no older than 12 broke from the crowd, clutching a picture of a man in uniform. "Sir," the boy stammered, holding it out with trembling hands. "He was my father. They killed him on Karzal." Will you make them pay? Kane stopped, crouched, and placed a steady hand on the boy's shoulder. For the first time in days, his voice softened. Your father's death will not be forgotten. We will fight. And we will win. The boy's eyes brimmed, but he stood taller as Kane moved on. Night fell over Earth. From the orbital docks, the glow of construction filled the sky. Civilian freighters were gutted, fitted with weapons. Carriers were loaded with hastily trained Marines. Entire cities had already shifted into war footing. Humanity, still considered a child among the stars, was preparing for a war that older empires had never dared to wage against the Dominion. In his private quarters aboard the Resolute, Kane sat before a silent terminal. A single message draft lingered on the screen, unsent. It was addressed to Marcus's family back home. Words had never failed him in command, yet here, he faltered. After several minutes, he closed the file. Some truths could not be softened by words. The ship's intercom chimed. Admiral, the fleet captains are assembled for orders. Kane rose, his shadow stretching across the cabin. He adjusted his uniform, smoothed the creases, and let the steel settle back into his voice. I'll address them now. Minutes later, he stood on the command deck, a dozen captains gathered around the hollow display of the Dominion frontier. Some faces were young, untested. Others bore the hardened lines of veterans. All waited. Kane keyed the display. The Dominion's scarlet territories pulsed across the star map, pressing against the fragile blue of Terran space. You've seen what they've done, he began. You've heard the cries from our people. They think us weak. They think this war will end us quickly. They are wrong. He looked each captain in the eye. We will bleed, yes. But we will adapt. We will endure. And when the Dominion finally understands who we are, it will be too late for them. A pause, heavy and deliberate. Our first strike launches within weeks. From this day forward, humanity fights for its survival. No retreat. No surrender. No forgetting. The captains saluted, fists to hearts, voices united. For humanity! Kane turned to the vast viewport. Beyond the glass, the stars stretched endless and cold, waiting. His reflection stared back at him, lines carved deeper by grief but lit by determination. He whispered, barely audible. Marcus, we begin. The engines of the Resolute rumbled to life. Across Earth's orbit, fleets assembled, shadows of steel and fire against the night. A war born from blood had begun, and the galaxy would never look at humanity the same way again. The orbital yards around Earth blazed with activity. Civilian freighters were stripped down, fitted with rail cannons and missile pods. Shuttles ferried recruits by the thousands, most barely out of training. Entire colonies emptied their reserves of fuel and ore, sending them to the shipyards. Humanity had never mobilized on this scale. The Dominion thought they had broken human spirit, but Kane could see something else rising, grim determination. Admiral Kane stood on the command bridge of the Resolute, watching as another cruiser drifted from the docks. Its hull still bore scars of welding torches, but its engines flared bright, ready to fight. His aide approached, datapad in hand. Fleet strength, sir. 38 warships, 20 converted freighters, and growing. We'll be at half-strength doctrine within 2 months. 2 months we don't have, Kane muttered. His eyes stayed fixed on the cruiser. The Dominion won't wait. They'll test us the moment they think we're unprepared. The aide hesitated. And if they're right, sir? Kane turned, his voice firm. Then we teach them what desperation looks like. The first opportunity came sooner than expected. A Varkathi supply depot operated in the shadow of an asteroid cluster along the frontier. Intelligence suggested it fed Dominion fleets in 3 nearby systems. Taking it would be symbolic, a message that humanity was not afraid to strike back. The captains gathered in the Resolute's strategy chamber. Holographic asteroids hung suspended in the air, glowing with target markers. Kane spoke with measured authority. We hit fast, strike hard, and vanish before their reinforcements arrive. This isn't conquest. It's survival and proof. We bleed them here, and the galaxy will know we are not prey. One captain, a wiry man from Luna, frowned. With respect, Admiral, our ships are green. Many crews haven't fired in live combat. A raid like this. Kane cut him off gently but firmly. Then they'll learn in fire. We don't have the luxury of waiting for veterans. Every battle will forge them, or break them. Silence followed. No one argued further. The raid began with silence. Terran frigates coasted through the asteroid field, hulls masked by the rocks. Engines whispered at minimum power. The Var-Kathy depot floated ahead, sleek, curved towers built into a hollowed asteroid, lit by the Dominion's blood-red insignia. Cargo freighters drifted lazily in orbit, their escorts complacent. On the Resolute's bridge, Kane gave the order. Launch the strike. Terran destroyers broke from cover, weapons flashing. Torpedoes streaked across the void, smashing into the depot's shield generators. Sparks and debris filled the darkness. Converted freighters poured missile fire into the escort ships. The Var-Kathy, caught unprepared, scrambled to respond. The comms filled with frantic calls. Target shields failing. Press the attack. Enemy gunships incoming. Vector 3-2. Hull breach on the Aegis. Containment holding. The battle was chaotic, brutal, and short. Humanity's fury outweighed their inexperience. The depot cracked under the assault, internal explosions tearing it apart. The escorts fell one by one, unready for the ambush. When it was done, wreckage drifted among the asteroids, and the Dominion supply line lay in ruins. Cheers erupted across the fleet. On the bridge, Kane allowed a single nod. Signal withdrawal. We've made our point. But celebration came with cost. 2 destroyers lost, 3 more limping, hundreds dead. As the fleet retreated, Kane remained silent. In his quarters, he sat before a stack of condolence messages waiting to be written. He began typing one by one. Each name mattered. Each loss cut deeper than he let his officers see. The pen of war was blood, and Kane signed every line. The raid rattled the Dominion. News traveled quickly across the Concord. A young race had struck the untouchable empire and lived to tell it. Some alien observers dismissed it as luck, but others began to whisper, humans adapt faster than expected. In the Dominion's capital, High Overlord Verlac fumed as reports streamed in. His advisors cowered as he paced the throne chamber, claws tapping the marble. Insects, he hissed. They dare strike a Dominion depot as if they are our equals. Crush them before the infection spreads. An elder advisor bowed low. Overlord, they learn swiftly. Perhaps it is. Silence. Verlac's eyes blazed. They will not learn. They will burn. Prepare the fleets. We will erase their colonies before their pride grows. The counter-strike came at Sigma Draconis, a vital Terran colony system. Dominion warships emerged from hyperspace in overwhelming numbers, sleek cruisers, carriers vomiting swarms of fighters, dreadnoughts bristling with plasma cannons. The sky above the colony turned crimson as the invasion began. On the Resolute, alarms blared. Kane's fleet scrambled to intercept. Numbers were against them, but retreat meant slaughter below. He issued orders in rapid succession. Frigates, into the asteroid belt. Lay torpedo nests. Cruisers, hold the line at Point Alpha. Every ship, every gun, by the colonists' time to evacuate. The battle raged. Dominion firepower carved through Terran ships, but humans fought with feral cunning. Asteroids were detonated into shrapnel clouds, shredding enemy fighters. Hidden missile batteries ignited Dominion carriers from within. Crews sacrificed themselves to ram damaged ships into larger foes. Every maneuver, every desperate act slowed the advance. On the bridge, Kane's voice never wavered. Hold the line. No retreat. When his communications officer reported, "The Vigilant is gone, Admiral," he answered only, "Mark her sacrifice. Press forward." The colony surface quaked under orbital fire, but evacuation ships lifted away, shielded by the chaos above. Humanity's defense, though battered, held long enough. At last, the Dominion fleet, bloodied and shocked by losses, withdrew. Silence descended on the Resolute's bridge. Smoke filled the air, consoles sparked, medics carried away the wounded. Kane stood amid the wreckage of his command deck, chest heavy. The fleet had survived, barely. Sigma Draconis still stood, scarred but unbroken. That night, Kane visited the casualty ward. Rows of wounded lay in medbeds, some conscious, others sedated. Captain Ramirez, his oldest friend, lay pale and broken from shrapnel wounds. Kane grasped his hand. "You fought well, old friend." Ramirez's lips twitched into a faint smile. "We showed them. Humanity doesn't kneel." Moments later, the monitor flatlined. Kane's grip lingered as the medic stepped forward. He turned away, shoulders rigid, grief locked behind steel. The following day, he addressed the fleet. Holograms of battered ships filled the briefing chamber, crews patched but resolute. Kane's voice carried over the channel, measured but fierce. "We faced the Dominion at Sigma Draconis. They came to crush us. Instead, they found humans who will not yield. We lost brothers and sisters, but their sacrifice was not in vain. Today, the galaxy saw us endure. Tomorrow, they will see us prevail." A murmur of pride swelled across the comms. Officers straightened, weary crews raised fists. The spark of belief had taken root. As Kane closed the channel, he stood before the viewport once more. The stars stretched endless ahead. Humanity had been baptized in fire. And though scarred, though bloodied, they had not broken. The war dragged on for months, each battle carving scars across human space. Entire colonies bore the blackened marks of Dominion bombardment. Refugees crowded transports, their eyes hollow but their voices unyielding. In that crucible, humanity adapted. Engineers spliced alien technology into Terran frames, creating hybrid weapons that Dominion tacticians had no answer for. Most feared among them were the EMP spears, long, thin projectiles that shattered the impenetrable glow of Varkathi's shields. Admiral Kane reviewed the latest reports in the Resolute's strategy chamber. Losses were heavy, but victories were mounting. What began as desperation had become resilience. Still, the cost was steep, and Kane knew morale needed more than scattered triumphs. They needed a decisive blow. Dr. Havelock, chief strategist, tapped the star map. "The Dominion grows cautious. They hesitate along the frontier. If we strike hard, we can unbalance them." Kane's gaze settled on the pulsing red marker at the map's center, Karzal. The place where the war began. The prison world where Marcus and thousands of others had died. His voice was steady, but steel-edged every word. "We end it there." The chamber went silent. Officers exchanged wary glances. Striking Karzal meant diving straight into the heart of Dominion defenses. But it also meant justice, and a message no one could ignore. Kane continued. "Operation Phoenix. We liberate Karzal. We burn the Dominion's symbol of terror to the ground." The fleet gathered at the edge of hyperspace, a patchwork armada of warships and converted freighters, their hulls scarred from endless battles. Across the comms, Kane addressed them. "They called us vermin. They thought we would scatter and hide. Instead, we stand at their gates. Karzal is where they tried to break us. Today, it is where we rise. Fight with every ounce of blood, every spark of will. For the fallen. For the living. For humanity." The fleet erupted with a single roar. "For humanity!" The jump tore through space, and the fleet emerged above Karzal. The world loomed below, a barren husk wrapped in crimson clouds. Orbiting fortresses lit up instantly, Dominion fleets already waiting. Thousands of ships locked weapons, filling the void with fire. The first salvo was blinding. Plasma beams raked through Terran lines, tearing apart 2 frigates before they fired a shot. But then the humans struck back. EMP spears launched in coordinated volleys, punching through the glowing shields of Dominion cruisers. Hulls cracked, fires erupted, and the impossible happened. Dominion warships began to fall. On the Resolute's bridge, Kane's voice was cold command. "Drive them back. Form on my mark. Hammer the flanks." His officers obeyed without hesitation. Terran ships moved like a single body, weaving through chaos with ruthless precision. Each loss was met with retaliation. Each Dominion push was met with a counter-strike. But the cost was brutal. The Endeavor took a direct hit, splitting apart in silence. Kane forced himself to look, to remember. Every sacrifice added fuel to his resolve. "Admiral," the calm officer shouted, "the Dominion flagship is moving into position. Overlord Verlac himself commands." Kane's lips thinned. "Then bring me to him." The Dominion flagship dwarfed the Resolute, a beast of black alloy bristling with cannons. Verlac's image flickered onto the screen, towering, armored, his eyes burning with contempt. "Insects," the Overlord sneered. "You defile Karzul with your presence. Today, your species is erased." Kane stepped forward, unflinching. "You thought we would cower. You thought us broken. But humanity does not kneel. Today you learn why." Verlac's snarl twisted into laughter. "Arrogance. I will enjoy your screams." "Then step closer," Kane said coldly, "and burn." The duel began. The Resolute led its escorts against the Dominion flagship. EMP spears struck, shredding shields, while rail cannons hammered glowing armor. The Dominion vessel answered with torrents of plasma, carving holes into Terran lines. Ships burst into fireballs one after another. On the bridge, Kane barked orders through the storm. "Divert power to forward batteries. Focus fire on their port side." A lieutenant called out. "Hull breach on deck 4. Containment holding." The Resolute shuddered under another blast, alarmed shrieking. Kane's grip tightened on the railing, but his voice never cracked. "Stay on target. Break their flank." Minutes stretched into eternity. At last, Dominion shields collapsed under relentless fire. The Resolute's final volley struck true, tearing through the flagship's core. Explosions rippled across its hull. Verlac's image returned, his face contorted with disbelief. "Impossible. You are." Kane's voice cut him off. "Remember this, vermin bite." The Dominion flagship erupted in silence, a flower of fire consuming its carcass. With their leader dead, Dominion fleets faltered. Terran ships pressed the advantage, forcing retreat. The orbital fortresses crumbled under combined assault. For the first time in living memory, the Dominion fled. On Karzul's surface, Terran Marines stormed the prison compounds. Barracks were blasted open, gates torn apart. Survivors, gaunt, scarred, but alive, stumbled into the light. Marines helped them into transports, their faces a mix of disbelief and tears. One Marine saluted Kane's image on a field screen. "Admiral, the prisoners are ours. Karzul is liberated." Kane exhaled, long and heavy. The war had not ended, but its heart had shifted. Humanity had not only survived, they had avenged. The aftermath was quiet. Wreckage drifted across orbit, broken ships forming a graveyard among the stars. Terran vessels, battered and blackened, held formation like weary soldiers standing watch. On the Resolute's bridge, officers cheered, some weeping openly. Kane remained still, his eyes on the burning ruins of the Dominion flagship. Victory felt heavy. Every face lost along the way haunted him. Yet beneath the grief, pride stirred. Later, on the surface of Karzul, a Terran flag was raised above the shattered prison. The galaxy watched the broadcast, humanity standing on the very soil where they had been mocked and massacred. A message more powerful than any declaration: humans would not be broken. That night, Kane walked alone through the ruins. Ashes swirled in the wind, the stench of war still thick. He found a crater where mass graves had been unearthed. A simple marker bore names of the fallen, hastily carved by Marines. Among them, Marcus Kane. Kane knelt, resting a hand on the cold stone. His voice was quiet. "It's done, brother. We paid the price. You're avenged." The stars glittered above, silent witnesses. Humanity had bled, but in that bleeding, they had carved a place among the powers of the galaxy. Kane stood, shoulders squared, eyes hard. The war was not over. Dominion remnants still lurked, and other empires would watch with wary eyes. But none would ever again call humanity prey. He turned back toward the camp, where survivors and soldiers shared food, laughter, and quiet tears. For the first time since the massacre, Cain allowed himself a faint smile. From ashes, he whispered, we rise.